Unfortunately, in education, we have this habit of talking about things kind of from a deficit perspective. And Dr. Terioso did some work to really look at students' capital. What are some of the assets that students bring, particularly students from underrepresented communities? Because the way they show up, their lived experiences and some of the things they know and ways of knowing may be different from dominant culture. So how do we as educators recognize and then be able to really celebrate and accentuate those strengths? Aspirational capital, that speaks to any student from any background where they face challenges. It's when you see that despite those challenges, those students still have high aspirations. They still have goals and things that they're working for. As long as there's hope, you can move forward. You can help a kid move forward. And so that aspirational capital is so important. How they're able to look beyond their present day circumstances to see a better outcome. As educators, as community members, that's what we grab hold to push our young people forward. Familial capital actually speaks to a student's ability to use family members or people in the community and leverage them as a resource. So whereas typically in our culture, we're very individualistic and it's each person for themselves, the familial capital, it speaks to people being able to rely on and draw upon family. And even like family goes beyond blood members. It's anyone in the community that you connect with. And again, when you think about some of those softer skills like problem solving, how do you think creatively about a situation to get a different outcome? That's a prime example of that because these students are working in community, working collaboratively to solve problems, to achieve goals, to leverage resources to make sure everyone has what they need. And that's a huge skill that's often overlooked in our school systems. Linguistic capital speaks to those students and families that might be bi or multilingual. Oftentimes, especially if English isn't your first language, if you talk to anyone who's acquired the language, you'll know that in the process of acquiring the language, they have to get really adept in reading body language, picking up on the subtle cues to make sure that when they hear the word, they're understanding the context and understanding the right thing. Oftentimes, that linguistic capital means that in terms of communication skills, there may be some ways in which those students have stronger communication skills because again, they've worked harder to really be able to interpret and understand and translate what's going on around them so that they're able to respond in an appropriate way. Resistance capital is just that resiliency, in the face of challenge, being able to move forward and again, hold on to hope and have aspirations for better things. Social capital is really important because I think it's something that everyone has to some degree or another. And so that social capital or your networks, how do you find out the information that you need to be successful? How do you access the resources you need in any particular circumstance? That's what the social capital speaks to. And for students from underrepresented communities and backgrounds, their social capital oftentimes looks different because they have to have different navigational pathways. So how are we as educators paying attention to that? How are we understanding the strengths that our students are really bringing into the classroom and not just going through the rote checklist of ways that we usually assess our students?